Good afternoon from sunny Kuala Lumpur here in Malaysia to wherever you are around the world. My name is Raj Arya, and once again, welcome to the Global Empowerment Summit 2021, where I'm sure some of you have been closely following the amazing array of speakers that we have been having over the past few weeks. Now, aside from that, just a quick heads up for all of you free ticket holders, we have currently launched a new GES treasure hunt game, which will be running till the 31st of December, where you'll be able to win some fantastic prizes courtesy of GES and Soulworks. So as you can see on the top right-hand corner, do scan the QR code, follow the instructions, and you are good to go. Now, coming back to our impending panelist session, where we will once again be talking about all things health and wellness. Our topic today will be, does the immune system of your family matter? And if so, how can I boost it? And to help us illuminate this topic, we have a diverse expert panel of guests who will be sharing their unique perspectives, starting with Dr. Anjali Doshi, Executive Board Member of World Family Organization, Marissa Kubina, founder of LifeWise, Patricia Yap, equity trader, remiser, and fitness enthusiast, Faiza Akbar Chowdhury, membership coordinator at iWell Malaysia, and last but not least, the thorn among the roses, we have Attila Motian, wellness advocate and health coach. Welcome all to today's session.
Good evening.
All right, fantastic to see all of you. Yes.
Hello, everyone.
Fantastic. All right. So before we begin, a quick note to all our viewers and audience out there. You are more than welcome to ask questions, as that's what this summit is all about. It's about sharing. It's all about learning. So if you have any burning questions you would like to pose to our entire panelists or someone specific, feel free to type it in, ask online. And of course, as we move along throughout the session, we will hope to answer them as we move along. So to get the ball rolling, I guess what our audience will also like to know is a little bit of insights to each of our panelists today. And first, I'll start with Dr. Anjali. Could you just share with us a bit more about your background, your journey, and how you are where you are today?
Okay, thank you very much, Raj. A very good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on which part of the world we are in. But it's indeed a great pleasure for me to be in this panel this afternoon because I'm from Malaysia. My journey, I would say, I used to work with the government. I was the Deputy Director General of Policy in the Population and Family Development Board. In terms of my work experience and my expertise, I would say it would be in the area of marital stability, strengthening marriages, family development, parenting, aging as well, and family well-being. And these are some of the areas which is also my passion. I retired a few years ago, but I feel I have so much more to. I would like to continue to be involved and involve myself in as many ways as possible, either through NGOs or other organizations to further help in the agenda of strengthening families. And in the context of the SDGs, there's the Sustainable Development Goals. My mantra is also leave no family behind. So I'm committed to these issues, and I hope I'll be able to share some of my views on the issue of boosting immunity into this
Well said,
session.
Doctor.
Thank you very much.
Well said. Yeah, we'll be looking forward to hearing your thoughts in terms about immunity and how the family unit is so crucial to create a harmonious system in place where everyone's well-being could be taken care of, especially during these challenging times. Patricia, you're next.
Wow, thank you so much for this amazing ability to share my experiences. So to give all of you a little bit of background, even though I am a stockbroker, but I took keen interest in making I am well. As all of you know, I work in a very volatile market, right? It's all dealing with money. So I really got to take care of my mental state, my physical state. And that is, in fact, a part of me that keeps me going. And to give you a little bit of my background, I got really interested in my own immune system because of my late father. He was a keen believer that there is a doctor, a healer in each and every one of us. In fact, later on, I may share some inspiring story that was by my late dad. And when I found that I believe that I am the healer, then that is where the magic takes place. I started to take care of my health. I started to be active and doing things that I never thought is possible. Because all this while, I thought we can only be active at a certain age. But hey, let me tell you, age is it is never a factor in how fit or how healthy we can be. And I definitely would love to learn from the other experts in the house as well. We have 5 of you here. I'm so excited to hear from all of you, and of course our viewers who will probably be sharing your idea, your feedback on the immune system. And let me end this by saying families are really important to me because I don't have a lot of family members. So I'm doing my best right now to hold everyone together so we can really live healthily, happily, and that's why we are here for. Thank you so much. Over to you, Raj.
No worries, Patricia. As they say, age is just a number. It's basically what's inside rather than what you see on the piece of paper. Marissa, you're up next. Could you share with us a bit about little insights into yourself and your journey, which is quite an interesting one, in fact.
Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to learn from all of you as well. I'm Marissa. I'm from Malaysia as well. Most of us from Malaysia here, right? Okay, a little bit about myself. I own my own insurance business, yeah? And being in the insurance business, I deal with a lot of claims, yeah? And I notice claims have been from all sorts of ages. We're talking about even those in their teens, their early 20s, people are getting cancer and getting sick and all that. So I know very well the statistics. Sadly, when I look at my family, we fell into the statistics as well. In 10 years, I actually lost 10 family members to cancer. Okay, and that's not even mentioning the other illnesses. We've also lost, family members to, like my dad, to heart attack. My mom passed away from cancer. And I was going through a very stressful time. Yeah, I was divorced then, and 3 kids. With 3 kids, I was a single mom. With all the stress that I was going through, I was diagnosed with having a very high tumor marker, right? Pancreatic, to be exact. I was diagnosed with having chronic fatigue, and so many pre-diabetic, so many other things as well. And I seek treatment all over the place. Each time I took medication, I would get side effects as well, And when I stopped the medication, I would get, a dose of other illnesses coming back. My weight was going up, all sorts of things. Life was havoc for me then. And I decided, no, I was going to take things into my own hands, take control of stuff. And I started doing a lot of research and studying. And I realized then that using organic food and supplements, right, I managed to heal myself. So my cancer marker, it's gone now. It's completely disappeared. So I managed to heal myself, and I'm very, very happy to share with everybody what I've done to come this far.
All right, brilliant. Yeah, we look forward to hearing that about how your self-discovery in terms of your path to recovery, as what you have just mentioned. Attila, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Raj, and hello everyone, and thank you for having me here at this panel discussion. My name is Attila Motti, and I'm currently in beautiful Budapest, Hungary. I spend half of my time in Hungary and also half of my time in Sydney, Australia. I'm a health fanatic, a health coach, a health and wellness coach, and also an aromatherapist, and advocating for a company called doTERRA. Our mission is to basically share the health enhancing benefit of therapeutic grade essential oils, how essential oils could change someone's life, how they could empower families, and how they could empower others to become healthier. I'm a big fan of nutrition and also healthy eating, also reducing stress and anxiety, which is extremely important during these times. So I'm very excited to share a little bit about my background and also about my knowledge in the upcoming 90 minutes. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much, Attila. And last but not least, the youngest among all of us here, who will be able to give her insights from different demographics, obviously a different generation. We have Faiza.
Hello, I'm not able to hear you, Mr. Raj.
Oh, you can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, fantastic. So you last but not least, obviously you are representing the youngest generation among all of us here. So take it away.
All right, hello everybody, and a very good afternoon from KL. Currently, I'm a full-time student of business administration focused towards finance, but since I was a teenager, my favorite subjects were biology and human biology, which which was specific on the immunity system. But But I think why should be immunity system based on the biochemical mechanism? It should be based towards the societal issue that we face as a South Asian lady. That's all I have to share about. Thank you, Raj. Off to you.
Yep. Yep. Does make sense. There's always the issue when we talk about topics such as this, nature versus nurture, situations or certain things that we do have. Is it due to genetics or is it due to environmental issues, the surroundings and all that? And we're going to study and deliberate a bit more about this in the next 90 minutes for that matter. Okay, now let's take all a step back. We all talk about immune system, immunity, eat right, live right, stay healthy, work out, and all that. So maybe to get the ball rolling in this respect, I'll pose to you, Attila. As you mentioned, this is something that you're extremely passionate about, both on a personal level and in obviously what you do for a living. Could you share with us your take in terms of looking at health and wellness holistically in order to maximize one's immune system?
Yeah, thank you very much. As I mentioned, I'm a big fan and a big advocate for healthy eating and good nutrition. I believe that if we would like to create or have a wellness and a thriving health, I believe that the foundation, that's what we need to look at first to reduce inflammation and the intake of good nutrition is vital. Whether you're vegan, vegetarian, or whether you're a meat eater, it's totally up to you. But I believe that everyone should have the right amount of nutrition at the right time, preferably for organic, or as they call it over here in Europe, from bio sources with minimum pesticides and no chemicals or basically anything harmful to the body. I follow a paleo diet, so more like an ancient diet, which eliminates grains, eliminates sugar, or trying to have reduced amount of sugar, anything that would suppress the immune system. And I also believe supplementation. I believe that supplementation is key because our food is deprived. It's not like what it used to be when my grandmother was picking basically all the vegetables and all the fruits from her backyard garden. So I believe in supplementation, good supplementation, supplements that you believe that they are good, they are coming from good sources. They are not multi doses, that basically dose that your body and your current health state requires. So along with the good nutrition and the good food, I believe that supplementation is also very important to create a good foundation that you can build on.
Right. Yep. Makes sense. You have to look at it holistically, and I guess one of the most crucial bits is what you put in your body. Basically, it boils down to your diet. Our diet today, because of all the chemicals, artificial coloring, trans fat, and all that, it's very, very different to previous generations, and that's something we need to address, given the state of health in the world today. Marissa, coming to you now. Obviously, you have taken the path with all your various ailments and illnesses that you face throughout your lifetime, and of course, medication, drugs, and so forth. And you have managed to find something more holistic, something more natural. So, could you just elaborate a bit more on what Attila has mentioned as well, like how it has actually helped you regenerate or find yourself or recover to the state that you're in right now from where you were previously?
Okay, I agree with him. Supplementation is key. And I come from the angle of detoxification as well. I believe that we have, throughout our lives, we have put a lot of stuff into our body, pesticides, like you say, herbicides, DDT, all sorts of things like, heavy metal. So we need to rid our body of that, but the pathogens in our body, they thrive on those things, and these are things that give us inflammation and causes all sorts of illnesses. So nowadays we see all sorts of autoimmune diseases and all that, which we probably never heard of when we were younger. I believe in detoxing. So for me, first thing in the morning is, drink lemon water. I always believe in drinking lemon water to flush your body out, and then to take celery juice. I'm a very, very strong believer and advocate of celery juice. Yeah, drink celery juice. I take a liter a day, and it's proven really, really beneficial for me. I've reversed everything. Aside from that, I also have my concoction of turmeric and stuff like that. I supplement with B12. I'm sure Attila will agree. Yeah. Because like
Yes.
you said, in our grandmother's days, the soil was different, We had all those vitamins and minerals in there. These days, we don't have enough zinc and all that in there, in the soil anymore. So vegetables and all that are grown in the soil, it's lacking of all those. So I'm a great believer of that. And I believe also, like Patricia mentioned as well, stress is a huge contributor, to all the illnesses today. And perhaps in the panel today, we will discuss how we are going to rid ourselves of that and strengthen the immune system of the family members. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Well said indeed. Yeah. It all boils down, I guess, to the inflammation, which could be a stressor caused by many, many things. And you just mentioned a classic example: stress in this modern society. We are so much more stressed. We have so much more, but yet at the same time, we are also stressed or burdened with so much more as well. So yes, that's something we're going to look at. So we talk about nutrition and diet. We talk about detoxing. We talk about stress. So Patricia, now I'll pass it on to you. I understand that you are also quite the fitness enthusiast. So health, wellness, and also fitness is very, very important as you are quite an avid runner. So can you just tell us, how does fitness play a role in your life and how it has helped your immune system?
Yeah. To give you guys a little bit of a background, I had a Taiwanese mom. So, Taiwanese, they love the girls to be really fair. So during my younger days, I just never had the opportunity to really explore my athletic ability. And that happens when I moved to Canada to study. And that time I was all by myself. So I could do everything I wanted. In fact, that was the time that I found out that I was really an outdoor enthusiast. I love going outdoor to the nature and all that. So, and like fantastically, I have friends who love to run. So they asked me to tag along, and that's how I slowly developed, hey, I can run, it's not too bad. And the weather was a lot cooler. It's so comfortable. So I sort of had this habit now, like to run. And then when I came back to Malaysia is hot and humid, right? And I was about to give up, but I have friends again. So friends are really important. They push me to healthy living. So I stick with them. So at the end, they sort of, asked me to, hey, why not you just follow us? Even though you're a slow runner, it's okay. You can always pick up. So that's how I slowly picked up and realized I can do this regardless of how young or how not so young I was. And when I started a change in my body, that gave me the reason why I should continue. But the thing is, this doesn't happen overnight. So I have to applaud myself for being consistent for 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. Amazingly, I saw my performance going up. It's really, really unbelievable. And that's where I gained the self-confidence and started to take control of my life. Having said that, I had a very, very extremely stressful life. It's dealing with money, right? And this allows me to de-stress myself. And end of the day, I know when I'm running, I actually have a lot of happy hormones. The serotonin, the dopamine, and all that will flood me with the feel of happiness. And that's where I found this is a great way for me to de-stress myself. And this
Mm.
is where I'm coming from. I'm definitely a very, very, enthusiastic about healthy living and being physically active, regardless of how young or how not so young we are. Yeah, Raj.
Well said. I couldn't agree more. So you have to look at things from a very holistic perspective, and it seems that there's a common thread in all of this is about state of mind, mental health, stress, which is very crucial in respect to our overall well-being and of course our immune system. And now to you, Faizan. Now you are obviously a young adult, still studying and all that. So you face different kinds of stress compared to the rest of us, but nevertheless, it is still equally as challenging. So could you just share with us a bit more in terms of the challenges and the stresses that you face in your life, which somehow or other could affect your state of health and as well as your immune system?
Thank you so much, Raj. So, well, being a foreign student at Malaysia, apart from academical stress, I also face the stress on my visa issues because every year we have to renew it in order to get the legal status to study over here. So,
Yeah.
and along with this, also we also face the issues of getting the houses on rent because some owners tend to be judgmental on because of towards the immigrants and and because of the price. So that is it. Yeah. So stress is everywhere. I face from apart from academics, from my personal issue as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. So true, so true. Every day we have different stresses, but bottom line is we are all affected negatively. And Dr. Anjali, talking about stresses as well, we have talked everything from a very personal context. But one major areas which is a big component for a lot of people involves family. So the family unit is so crucial in terms of either supporting you, but at the same time, it can also pull you down depending on the circumstances. So Dr. Anjali, what are your thoughts in terms of that dynamics and how it affects the immunity of the person, a member, as well as collectively as a unit?
Uh, Okay, thank you very much, Raj. It was interesting to listen to the perspectives of my previous panelists, and you looked at it from the health, the lifestyle, the
Yeah.
nutrition perspective. But for me, if I look at immunity, it's if you look at the dictionary definition, it's usually ability of body to defend itself against foreign bodies, against infection and rejecting, maybe perhaps like you say, cancer cells and all that. But I would like to bring it out from that area and look at it from I would consider it as a family immunity, the importance of family immunity, and looking at it and how the family, from a family perspective, the important role that family immunity can play in the ability to face and cope with the challenges. Life is full of, as you mentioned, stress, anxiety, depression, etc. But as a family, what are the strategies and techniques and skills you need to deal and cope with life's challenges? And if you look at the last 2 years, I think we are all in the same situation all over the world. And in the initial days, this last 2 years, I won't mention. We found that initially there's a euphoria about people being very never said faced the situation where they had to be at home 24/7. They had more time with their family, quality time, quantity time. You could see a lot of new master chefs emerging, lots of sharing of what food they did, what activities they took, and to be with the family. And so it's such a good time that you felt like nobody wanted to go back to the old lifestyle, back to work. But as this situation continued, and then you began to see, besides the positive effects, the family immunity or the unit family unit immunity began to change. The scenario began to change, and you see people were more stressed, mental health issues, depression, financial burden. You had increasing cases of domestic violence, social issues, child abuse, because people were not used to, especially if you are living in a small flat or very small living space. You are together, we have 3 4 kids, you are working, you have your household responsibilities, no more being able to franchise your childcare to outside sources and all that. So the situation became very tense and it affects our immunity. When you talk about immunity, when you're faced with so many pressures and burden, then definitely you become weaker. So when I talk about family immunity, I look at the family's role as a shield, a protection and strength and defense against life's challenges. And in this case, in this scenario, what is very important? Yes, nutrition is important. Food, that's what we can take at the internet individual level in as well as for our family in terms of nutrition, healthy lifestyle, how to communicate and all that. But as a family, how do we deal? How do we look at it from the perspective of family unity? When I talk about family immunity, it means family cohesiveness, family togetherness, family strength, family resilience to look and deal with all the problems that come. Everybody will have problems, but what differentiates one person from another person is the way we handle these challenges. There's no avoiding challenges, but using the resources in our environment to deal with it. And I would also later on maybe share some of the techniques which have personally worked for me and which I feel I would be able to share with all of you on how can we look at it from in immunity as we know it, but also from a broader scope of looking at it from the ecological perspective, where immunity within the whole society, from the individual, the extended family, work system, and the community and society. So let me end there for now. Thank you, Raj.
Great, Dr. Angela, and I'm glad you said that because hopefully before the end of this sessions, we're going to come up with solutions. We're going to come up with answers that perhaps we can have our viewers taking away and hopefully implementing it in their daily lives, in their families, and of course their current environment. Now, great to see that there's a very good question coming in from Sing Fon Chan, who mentioned that while it's important that we need to check with our medical doctors and have regular checkups, excessive consumption of certain vegetable, fruits, and other foodstuff can be harmful instead of beneficial to the body. Of course, we have the old adage is too much of a good thing could be a bad thing. So this perhaps like to start off by posing to Attila. What are your thoughts in terms of this? When you think about it, generically speaking, vegetable is natural, fruits is natural, it's from the soil, it's from the earth, and you would think that there would be very minimal negative implications in that respect. That said, of course, if you're taking too much of something, may not be good as well. What are your thoughts in terms of that statement?
Look, I believe that overdosing on vegetables or fruits is, how should I say? I don't believe that you can overdose yourself on veggies and fruits. Yes, if you're not eating the right vegetables, which might trigger your body, that's not a good thing. You need to know your body and you need to know what is good for you. So you need to, at first, you need to do maybe an allergy test. You need to know what sort of vegetables and fruits you could eat. I love bananas, but not everyone loves bananas, and banana has got a high sugar content. So if you're only eating banana throughout the day, 4 or 6 bananas, that's not good for yourself. I believe that eating fruits on an empty stomach, that's probably the most beneficial. Having detoxification is also extremely important. So I absolutely agree with you when you said that detoxification is very important. So when your body is detoxified, you can absorb all the right nutrients much easily. So yeah, increase your vegetable intake and fruit intake as much as you can. Please do not overdose yourself. Have a test, have an allergy test, and if you do not know your body, have an allergy test to see what's your allergic for. But yeah, just increase the amount of vegetables. So if it was 2 portions a day, increase to 5 portions a day, 4 to 5 portions a day, and reduce the amount of meat that you are eating. So to make sure that you're taking in all the good nutrients, and yeah, eat from organic sources, if I may suggest, if you can afford it, and if you get access to organically sourced veggies and fruits.
Right. Yeah. as far as possible. It's all perhaps maybe moderation, and no two individuals are alike. So it's good to check out what works for you, what doesn't, what are your personal allergies, what are you inclined towards. So those are the things that we need to look at. And this one ties in very nicely to Marissa. Now, Marissa, you are a true blood, true blue Malaysian, like the rest of you, with the exception of Attila. And we know Malaysia is famous for its food. They call it the food heaven. But as we all know, the flip side of it as well is some of the food may not be the most nutritious, and which creates a lot of other issues, as we can see in terms of health implications. We are one of the highest in terms of obesity, diabetes, and of course, hypertension and so forth, lifestyle diseases, so to speak. So for you, obviously, you would have been living a normal life, enjoying all the finer things, and then you suffered all these various ailments along the way. So you mentioned on your path to self-discovery, in the sense that you did a lot of research. Where was your source of information? Because the internet, as we know, has a lot of information, and some could be fact, some could be fiction, false, fake news. So how do you differentiate what is real, what is factual, and what is not, and how do you go about it, implementing it in your life?
Okay, tell you. Okay, first of all, Sonia Mahindran is a good friend of mine. Sonia's question will have to be answered by Dr. Anjali, I think, not me. She did pose a question just now to me personally, to ask me to give everybody a classic example of the day I carry out, whatever I do in the day. Before that, let me answer your question, Raj. You see, I've always been a fitness freak as well. Okay, I used to work out. People work out 1 hour, I'll work out twice a day. 1 hour, that was 2 hours lah, twice a day, and I'm always watching what I eat. So I was very into the Atkins diet then. It wasn't keto yet, it was Atkins. Yeah, so I used to practice it diligently, okay, for years, and I've been able to maintain my weight and all that. But along the way, I had a lot of inflammation, like I mentioned just now. Yeah, then I realized that too much of a good thing is no good lah. Too much meat, too much fish, too much protein lah, so to speak. So I said, okay, I really need to do something about this. I cannot depend on medicine. So I went the holistic way, and I started researching about heavy metal. Because, okay, how that happened is I went to this place called Sweat Spa. Okay, it's a full spectrum sauna health space. So when I went there, after I finished the session, I noticed black spots all over the white towels, and I was very shocked. I said, at first I thought, how come you people never change your towels, And then she explained to me, she said, you have a lot of heavy metal deposits leaving your body. And I was like, is that even possible? So I went into heavy metal research. What is this heavy metal we have in our body? Then I learned that everything and anything we take, even the fragrance that we smell from these fresheners, the DDT, the pesticides, the herbicides in the food that we take every day, canned drinks, all these things we are exposed to heavy metal, So I started researching more, and I found out from the medical medium. This guy is a medical medium. You can research him later on. And he has talked very, very deeply about this heavy metal. A lot of logical explanation. So when I started doing his protocol, I started seeing results. And then I told myself, okay, we're talking about family's immune system. So I can't just do this alone. So I include my family members in this as well. So whatever I do every day, when we talk about detox, Raj, it's not just detox your body detoxing, it's detoxing your mind, like doctor said, detoxing your soul as well. So body, mind, and soul, you need to detox. So I encourage the children to meditate as well with me in the morning, And then after that, we have the lemon water to flush your body. And then I jump on the trampoline for 45 minutes, to detox. So I encourage, my son likes to do his kickboxing and this and that. So everybody, we are encouraging each other, to increase their immune system by putting some activity in. Otherwise, children are locked in their room, 24 hours. I don't know what they're doing because they're in, they're in their classes, and then they're chatting and they're doing whatever, and they don't come out of their room. So there's no exercise, and they tend to take snacks and eat rubbish. So now I'm home. I'm pretty glad these 2 years, with what's happened, I'm able to be home and cook healthy meals for my kids, to encourage them to drink the juices that I drink, and supplements as well. I take care and make sure they supplement like me as well. So we are all improving, and I've become vegan. I'm vegan, right? Just to let you all know. So it's a difficult journey. It was a difficult journey at first. I was like, I'm a meat eater, keto person. I was like, how can I go vegan? Impossible. But I tell you, with everything that you are determined to do, to improve, you will force yourself lah, to do it. Eventually, I'm enjoying it now, and so are my kids.
Yeah,
So
that's great. I guess what you've just described is we need to have the support structure. You have to do it collectively, and it's great that you brought your kids involved in that sense, from in terms of creating that awareness and educating them from such a young age as well. Which brings me to a very interesting question. You mentioned you're vegan, but what about your kids? How do you deal in that scenario whereby I doubt they are vegans as well, given given kids these days?
I tell you, when I mentioned vegan to them, it was like they
They roll
saw a
eyes,
ghost,
right?
Like, what? You mean what? McDonald's,
Yeah.
Burger King, and all that? You know what you're talking about? I say, hey, they're vegan burgers. No, they're like, no, it can never be the same. No such thing, this and that. The thing is being creative. When I plan out creative meals, for example, our local nasi lemak, I can do a vegan version of it with millet, and it still tastes just as good. And then they're like, not bad, huh? I say, see, being vegan is not so bad, isn't it? So they're not completely, but slowly, one step at a time. I don't expect them to be vegan, like me, but I think they watching me heal,
Yeah.
and become better and lose weight and all that. That alone is already a great example. So they want to follow suit, but slowly lah. I'm not forcing them. I do it by influence, not by forcing.
I believe that if I may say something, that I totally agree with what Marissa is saying, because I believe that if you're setting a good example for the children, they will follow you. We have got my wife and I. We have got a 20-month young baby boy. His name is Alexander Leo, cute little boy, and healthy as very, very healthy. He never had a cough. He never had a fever in his entire life. My wife was vegetarian during pregnancy, and straight after birth, we started using essential oils on his body, and also we are watching what we are eating. So we are sharing the food that we are eating with him. So he loves avocados, he loves green juices in the morning. He's actually maniac about having a bit of a green smoothie, just to be shared with him from what we are drinking every morning. So he loves cucumber, he loves watermelon, he loves all the fruits and all the vegetables, and we try to give that food to him. So he's following what we are eating, and he's basically loving it. So hence, I believe that everyone, if you try to influence your child or your children, and if you set a good example, they will follow you. And you could explain that it's healthy, that it's good for your body. You will become more energetic. You will become much better at school. You will become much smarter than the other kids. So I believe that there are certain ways that you can influence your children and your family as well, by just explaining what it does to you and to your body and mind and to your spirit.
Yep. That's a great point. It's always good to start them young. And of course, the greatest influence on the youth and the younger generation will ultimately always be the parents. So which brings me to Faiza. Of course, as once again, you're the youngest. How much of an influence do your parents play, your family unit plays in terms of molding you to who you are today, in terms of healthy living, taking care of yourself, and of course, being the best that you can possibly be?
I'm very fortunate that my parents have played a very important role in my life to what I am today, in case of my healthy lifestyle. And ever since I have detached from them, like I came to Malaysia, I noticed that my food habits have been drastically changed, as I'm living in a hostel, and in hostel we have very limited options. Whereas back home
Yeah.
we had a lot of options of home cooked meals,
Yeah.
variation on it. And whereas in the hostel, the foods may not be cooked in a hygienic manner and they're not that
Yeah.
nutritious.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the issue here. So and it is not always wise to spend the money by ordering foods from outside.
Mm.
As I told you, I'm a foreign student. We have very limited options in case of the finances. So this is where the issue is. That's all.
Yeah, yeah. So as mentioned earlier, having food accessible 24/7, very very affordable doesn't mean it could be a good thing because the quality of the food in terms of hygiene, nutrition, and all those could be compromised. So, Dr. Anjali, back to you again. In terms of what the others have mentioned previously, we can see that family plays a very very important part, especially inculcating the good values, good knowledge from a very, very young age so that it can be passed on to the next generation. What's your take on that? And what can you add on to that?
Okay, thank you. Yes, I think family is our first school. That's where we learn every life lessons, the skills, the values, and whatever happens in the family will definitely play a big influence in our life because our parents will be our role model. We are observing. It's not do as I tell you, is do as you see me doing. So it's they are always watching us 24/7, and we have to be on the alert. So we practice what we preach. But coming back to again, I'd just like to again stress that family we can boost family immunity to deal with life's challenges. This the foundation of learning these skills, knowledge, and techniques of how to deal with challenges, problems, issues which we face. It begins from the family. And although the skills and techniques and learned from the family can also be the cause of those issues.
Yes.
Because if the family unit is not healthy, you don't have good leadership models, your parents maybe are quarreling, there's abuse or violence. That's the lessons you are learning. You begin to think maybe this is the way things happen. You allow that. So I think the family's role is very critical, especially, and so it starts with parents as well. The
Yeah.
way you bring up your kids, the lead example you show your parents, the way you communicate, the way you deal with life stresses, they're all life lessons for our children. And in this context, especially in today's stressful lifestyles, mental health is a very major issue. And issues like stress, panic, anxiety, it cuts across generations. We cannot say that we are in the mid 30s or 40s, then we have such issues. Even young kids are beginning to feel stressful, anxiety, even the ideation of suicide is also beginning to be seen among the young generation, and so we need to pay attention to this. And I feel that for mental health is the foundation of how we think, how we behave, how we have relationships, how we react to challenges and all that. And this is where as parents we have to build that resilience in our kids. But sometimes in the family, when you talk about virus and infections and all that, I would say we have this love virus where the parents have toxic relationships with their children. Instead of having loving, unconditional love with your spouse, with your children, you are the one who's damaging their self esteem. You are affecting them, negating whatever they achieve, comparing them with their siblings. And all this negativity is a virus in them and it affects their own self-esteem, their self of well-being, as well as family relationships and how you go apart, and there's family dysfunctioning. So when you look at that perspective of this love virus, then how do you deal with these negative family relationships? And that's where coping mechanisms come in, and the importance of parenting skills for parents is, although we think parenting is learned or we can follow the example set by our parents or observation, but just like when we learn how to cook or we go for driving to get a license, I think it's really very important to stress the need for learning parenting skills and techniques. And this is something I would strongly advocate. And for the love virus, one of the issues is, we are damaging them, and we are the people they depend on, and we are the ones who are destroying their self-esteem, their self and creating more problems, then there's something very wrong, and that's where it leads to stress and all kinds of anxiety disorders, sleeplessness, the thinking of committing suicide, isolation, and all that. So one technique, like I think somebody mentioned, would be, is looking at hormones. The stress hormone is cortisol, and where you have the negative emotions coming up and all that. But then you also have the happy hormones in place. Yeah, they call it dopamine, the oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. These are the positive hormones, and we as parents and our interaction with our children, how do we get these emotions released from them? Because in terms of appreciation, in terms of doing things together, exercising, healthy lifestyles, hugging each other. I would just like to also look specifically at the touch therapy, and we talk about and the importance of hugging our family members. Although we in my a few years ago, we had this campaign. We call it the 10-second family hug to release the happy hormones, and we try to promote that within the family, and with your husband and wife, parents and child, or even a total family hug with everybody, and also with our senior parents. Sometimes our parents are old, and they may not be well, or we may give them different good nutrition, aromatherapy, all the essentials, all will help them in their development. But sometimes we neglect the touch point, touching them, hugging them, holding hands, and all this really gives them a good feeling of happiness. But as I said, to hug is not everybody is comfortable, but it's worth the effort. It's worth to learn how to do the hugging, and that's where we have no judgmental. We are just sharing our feelings, releasing these hormones, and of course, it has to be done. There's some techniques to be done on practicing. It has to be eye to eye, heart to heart contact, looking at each other and hugging and saying good things, affirmations. So this one simple practice which we can look at, and it will affect our mental health and well-being. Maybe I will continue later. Let some others to talk or
Yeah,
respond.
that's true.
But in terms of diet, doctor, just now, not a medical doctor, but my personal experience has shown that in terms of food, people will suggest you can, it's good, bitter gourd is good for this, celery is good for that, but it's really very good to go for a proper medical checkup and see what are your underlying conditions. For example, for my experience, I had a family member who had a heart attack, and we said celery juice, apple juice is good, and we take lots of juice, detoxing and all that, and then bitter gourd and all. But after that, it affected the kidneys because of too much of detox. The kidneys couldn't take that. So I think everybody will have their personal experience, and if Asian context, we have food which is cooling, food which is heaty, and all that. So I would always suggest do a proper checkup before you start anything. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Good point. Yes, you need to have a baseline in terms of your health. So with that starting point, you can progress forward. And I like what you mentioned earlier, the power of the touch. Touch can be so powerful, even though it's something as simplistic as just connecting with someone. Now, you mentioned something very, very crucial there in terms of hormones. And this one opposed to you, Patricia. Now, you have the good hormones, for example, being a runner, being active, you get the good hormones, as you mentioned earlier, like dopamine. But on the flip side, too much strain on the body as well, you will also relieve the negative hormones, which is cortisol. You create greater inflammation on the body where you're putting too much strain on that. Now, you are obviously someone who is an avid runner. You have run 10 km, half marathons, full marathons, and so forth. So how, from your personal experience, how do you feel? How does your body feel running these various distances? Do you feel that there comes a point in time when you hit a sweet spot, but if you run even more, you feel that your body is breaking down? Could you share your experience perhaps?
Absolutely, Raj. I love this question because to me, I believe we are all work in progress. We never know our true potential until we have the courage to really stretch ourselves outside the comfort zone. In terms of sports, I'm seeing that on myself. But having said that, I'm going to make a disclaimer. It's so important for all of us to have a great understanding of how our body works, how our mind can take the stress, and even how our spirit are able to embrace all this stress. So I do believe after we have, decided to embark on certain sports, it's really important to know perhaps a little bit about our family histories, how our parents are in terms of fitness level, and that can let you know a little bit about yourself. And once you have a pretty good understanding of yourself, start slow. I started running really slowly. It's like brisk walking. And when you find that, hey, you can take in a little bit more, that's where you add a little bit oil and then try to see how far you can go. But anytime when you feel there is a pain, discomfort, it's okay to stop. Stop and listen to your body, whether it's just to perhaps have a gel with you so that you are energized again, or just to have a sip of water. So that is perfectly fine. So in terms of how far we can go, how well our fitness level is, this is ongoing. We need to assess ourselves all the time. Under different weather condition, different stress environment, our body react differently. And I would also like to share this book. It's really an ancient book that I inherited from my late dad. The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. This is where the family support comes in, because my parents really believed in us taking charge of our health. So since young, I have been no choice, right? But inherited all these values. And I believe if I exercise this, I may not be a master, but I'll be able to be a little bit better day by day. So to me, if there's any gift that I like to share with all of you, and we feel we have this commonality, is really to have that growth mindset, that we are able to take on the challenge regardless of our expertise, our background. There is always a solution out there to boost up our immune system, whether it's for ourselves, for our family, for our community, for our country. And that in itself is a noble cause. That's why we are having this session. And I'm so, so proud to be part of your panelists. I'm learning so much. And thank you, all of you, for being my teacher. Raj.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's all about, I guess, pushing your own individual limits. Each person would obviously have different boundaries or limits, and it's good. So you know where you stand, but you must also acknowledge and recognize where you think you have already hit a certain mark, and to pull back. There's nothing wrong with pulling back, taking a break, and recovering. I'm also quite into fitness once upon a time, and it's just as important as working out. You also recuperating and letting the body regenerate. So something very crucial. Now we're going to take it on the different tangent altogether. We've been talking about immunity, and one possible solution we have talked about, for example, diets, detoxing, working out, and all that. Essential oil, something which you will inhale, which can have a very profound impact on your entire being. Attila, as you have mentioned, that has played a very important part in your family, and it's also something that you do for a living as well. Could you just share with us how important and how crucial that essential oil can play in terms of boosting one's immunity?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, essential oils, good essential oils that are tested, that are pure, that are basically representing nature. And so I believe that essential oils are probably the simplest way, the most simple way and very safe way to utilizing nature's power. We were talking about emotions, for example, and we all know that negative emotions, for example, helplessness or hopelessness, they create chronic stress, which upset the body's hormone balance and depletes the brain chemicals that are required for happiness and damages the immune system. So what essential oils can do when you are smelling an essential oil, they travel from the olfactory nerve. We all have got a nerve here on the bridge of our nose, and they travel from the olfactory nerve directly to the brain, and especially impact the amygdala, the emotional center of our brain. So when we are feeling a certain emotion and we are not happy with it, by smelling essential oil, we can overwrite or we can release that emotion, and we can create, or we can trigger, not create, but the right English term is trigger a new emotion by smelling essential oil. And we can send happy hormones throughout our body. But also by utilizing and using essential oils, we can detoxify our body. We can help to feel more grounded and release stress and anxiety that we were experiencing in the last year and a half. I believe that everyone, especially when we are enclosed, when we are under a lockdown, when we are close together with family, especially when you have got a little one that I did have. So I was using a lot of essential oils to release all the stress and all the frustration that come with feeling enclosed and not being able to go outside of the house. So yeah, essential oils are a huge part of our everyday, and we are using them for detoxifying our body and emotions and boosting our immune system as well.
On that note, you have given us a bit of a background of how essential oil works. We have a very good question from Zuzi Makan. What essential oil specifically can be used to reduce toxic stress? So she mentions examples like emotional stress, chemical residues, heavy metal accumulation in the body, for example. Could you give a few examples of essential oils that our audience could consider using for those scenarios?
Yeah, sure. One of my favorite is called the frankincense. So frankincense, it was mentioned in the Bible. Baby Jesus was anointed with frankincense. Frankincense is one of the highest frequency substance that is available out there on our planet Earth. And frankincense is native to certain part of Africa and also in the Middle East, such as Oman or Somalia. And it comes from the resin of the frankincense tree, which grows in a very harsh environment. And what frankincense does, it can release stress. It helps to basically, with our nervous system, to work better and to be more resilient. Also, if we have got heavy metal accumulation in our body, we could use certain oils such as geranium, for example, or certain blends that are helping to detoxify our body. Blends that come from lemon, for example, from tea tree, oregano, juniper berry, and so on and so forth. Yeah. There are a lot of essential oils that can help. I couldn't mention one. If I need to mention one essential oil, especially that would be frankincense, my favorite.
Okay.
But there are a lot of essential oils that can help and to reduce toxic stress.
Okay, brilliant. Patricia, I also believe that you are a strong believer and advocate of essential oil as well. Could you just share with us a bit of your insights on this topic? And perhaps what are your favorite choices of favorite essential oils?
Absolutely. One of my favorites is really easy to use, starts with an L. Lavender. Yes, lavender is so easy to use, and I believe this is a must-have. Besides what, our friend Attila has shared earlier. And my experience with it actually started with my late dad, because he was very sick past 2.5 years ago. And when he was diagnosed with liver cancer, it was the biggest shock to my family, and we went through the darkest moment in my life. But we were really blessed by my cousin, who was an avid user of essential oils. So she introduced us to one of the very high therapeutic grade, and we started to use that to help my dad to cut down his discomfort, because there's no way he can be healed. The only therapy we can give him is to ease his discomfort. Instead of pain and suffering, we had him, we use diffuser all the time. And it really helps. It also calms the family members, even though it's just me and my mom. But we were really stressed. Like, it's just unbelievable, the stress level in the house. I have a caretaker to take care of my dad. But having said that, I just feel part of the beauty of essential oil, you need to experience it. You need to use it to experience it and to see how it is going to help us. In fact, I was so blessed that during my uni days, one of my goals is to stay young forever. So because of that, I took on a beauty course. In fact, I'm a licensed beauty therapist. And very strangely, that was part of the course, aromatherapy. So that was the first time when I had some knowledge on aromatherapy. I love it because I also understand in the golden, old days, frankincense and all these myrrh were used as a holy oil. And that's where I found out, wow, it's a total world out there. And there are so many healing properties in all this oil. It's just that they were always underrated. Like in the mainstream, nobody really they never really broadcast it. It's such a great, in terms of alternative medicine, I strongly believe there is so much essential oil can do to help the patients, especially people who go through, terminal illnesses and all that. Even for all of us who are really stressed, like me, I'm stressed to the max. But whenever I start inhaling, like what I'm doing right now, it really calms the soul and the mind, and it gives a very, very spiritual feeling. It really helps with the happy hormones. Yeah. And thank you so much, for that question, Raj. And love your sharing, Attila. Thank you. Yeah. Back to you, Raj.
Yeah, exactly. Kindred spirits there when it comes to essential oil. And frankincense, that's an interesting one. Something that probably most of us haven't heard of, but for our viewers out there, even for myself, that's something I'm definitely going to check out in greater detail later. Now, you mentioned about, of course, Patricia, your family history and all that. So, Marissa, for example, you mentioned your family has a very strong family history of all kinds of lifestyle diseases as well. So we can see genetics could also play a very, very strong role in terms of how you are facing all these various situations as well. So when looking back in terms of your family history, did you feel some semblance of hopelessness that it is fated that you too will have to suffer the same fate as them, so to speak? Or do you feel that you still had the control in your hand, that you could do something about it, which I can see that you're doing, being a vegan, changing your lifestyle, and so. So just wanted to get the thoughts that were going through your mind at that point in time.
Okay, Raj, my family is very different from perhaps Patricia just now. She mentioned, how her family used to advocate healthy living. My family, on the other hand, just loved food. Okay, they loved food and they lived to eat.
Yes.
Yeah. So mom and dad were overweight, and they were always just the most unhealthy things they would eat, and they would prepare those meals for us. So we grew up eating those meals. So I don't really feel that genetics is on its own. I don't really know enough to comment about genetics, but what I think we inherit is the lifestyle. If we're used to eating a certain food, that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to eat. And if we're used to not working out, and just leading a sedentary lifestyle, that's what we're going to be. We're just going to be like that. And that was what it was for me. And this is where my research really helped me a lot. When I researched, a lot of new discoveries for me. Perhaps for most people, they would already know, this is the way to live a healthy life. But for me, with the examples I had to unlearn and relearn everything, and I became very, very interested and delved very, very deep into this. And that's why I feel it is so important when you talk about the family immune system to include your children into your changes, your lifestyle changes, and good things that are happening to you when you do that. So when they experience that, so when I take my turmeric concoction and all the children take it with me, they're happy to see that their skin is improving and little stuff like that, things like that. So that's
And what you say is also so true. It's so true that it cuts both ways. While you inculcate good habits, similarly as well, if you inculcate bad habits, then obviously the kids will pick that up as well, and it'll be a never-ending cycle. And then they'll
Like
pass
what
it on
Dr.
to
Anjali
their
said.
kids. Exactly.
Correct.
So, Dr. Anjali, as you can see in Malaysia, being a food haven and all, traditionally, diet is not something that we do very well. So, if parents pass on bad habits, as what was Marisa has mentioned just now, it's all, of course, going to cascade, so forth and so forth. So, what can we do? Because it's very much culturally entrenched, very much traditionally entrenched as well in terms of that kind of mindset. So how do we break that, that cycle, so to speak? I mean, create self-awareness, education, but what can be done practically to help address this situation?
Okay, thank you, Raj. Yeah, I think yes, awareness and all that is there, but very very important is the parents have the greatest influence
Mm,
in their family and on their children, and so if the parents lead a good example, like Marisa
mm,
and all of you are saying that you practice what you preach. They are
yeah.
seeing, and when what they see, they will do. So, and if you yourself are practicing, you don't tell them to exercise, and you are a couch potato. They're not going to
Yes.
listen to you. Or
Yes.
you keep telling them, please read books. It's very good. It's good for your future, but you yourself don't do it. It's not going to help as
Yes.
well. So it's like monkey see, monkey do. So, but I think
Yes.
the consciousness and the awareness of the importance of healthy lifestyles, the need for mindfulness, the need for healthy eating, and it's all you have to have these conversations with your children. You have to tell, doing is one thing, but telling them why you
Yeah.
need to do it, what's the effect of it, if they do it, they don't do it. And so if they see something happening in the family, if somebody falls sick, and then it's due to what reasons, and then there's some justification, and to get them on board as well. As a family unit, it's not about me only. It's no use one person being healthy and everybody else is unhealthy. And you shouldn't give up that attitude. You should never say, okay, you don't want to follow me, it's up to you, you suffer and all that. No, that's where your role comes in. Communicate with
Yeah.
them, have that conversation, spend the time with them, and I'm sure they are like sponges, absorbing
Mm.
everything you do, you say, you see, and all that. So I think it's a wonderful golden opportunity that starts in the family and then goes on where they learn from their peers in schools and their extended family and all that. So the talk has to start, and they have to be convinced of what you're doing and why it's important. And slowly, their children, they also think, like you said, vegan lifestyle, vegetarian lifestyle. Maybe it takes some time to get adjusted
Yes.
and accept these lifestyle changes, but slowly but surely, don't give up. And I would say there's
Yeah.
always healthy family facing challenges, and we learn from each other as well. It's not that children just one way communication. We will be
Yeah.
learning and sharing with each other as well. Thank you so much.
So true, so true. Like
Okay.
what you mentioned earlier, it's all about leading by example and hopefully inculcate good habits. And monkey see, monkey do at the end of the day. It may take some time, but perhaps one day, who knows, a couple of years down the road, Marissa's kids will all could be born again vegans as well. So, yes, it's a slow process, but who knows, it could eventually
It's about
get there.
educating them. I think it's all about
Yeah,
education. Yeah,
yeah,
it's all about
yeah.
educating.
Yeah, you have to have the reason, a compelling reason why you should be doing it. You can't be saying you should do this. It's for your own good. I guess it's not compelling enough. They need to get the buy-in. Once they buy into that idea and they see how it benefits them, then I'm sure everyone will embrace it with open arms. Now, Faiza, from your point, well, in your context, it's obvious that you are currently in a very challenging position in the sense that you are a foreign student in a foreign country, all by yourselves. You don't have that support structure in place. So how do you stay focused and remain committed to the path, like in terms of your overall well-being? I'm sure, as what Dr. Anjali mentioned earlier, mental health is also a very big issue, which doesn't just affect adults, young adults, in fact, teenagers as well, even kids as well, with all kinds, especially social media in play and all that. So how do you stay strong, or how do you stay the course?
Well, it's like once I decide something, I go to any extent to achieve that objective. So like
Mm,
once I remind myself of that every day whenever I feel low, and also I'm reminded that I'm here because of my family. I need to be there for my family. So the the acknowledgement of my family just gathers me up and just makes me to go further and further. And also besides this, I also watch motivational videos such as Darman and Jai Shetty to get to know their stories and to mold myself more. And along with this, I also write down my favorite quotes and post it on my walls on my social media platforms. So that's how I motivate myself to go on and on to achieve my objectives. On to you, Raj.
Thank you. Yeah, it's all about state of mind, and it's great that you actually uh, put it out there in your social media, pen to paper, that you can visualize it. It's something tangible rather than it just being stuck in your head. So coming back to you, Dr. Anjali, as we all know, you mentioned something very important just now as well. State of health, mental health. It all starts in the mind. So you also did say about things that we can do, tangible actions that we can take in terms of strengthening the mind, especially we live in a rather toxic world in this day and age. Unfortunately, there are a lot of great progress thanks to technology advancements and so forth. But on the flip side, there's also a lot of negativity out there as well. So what are the tangible actions that perhaps our audience can consider, simple ones that we can start doing as quickly as even today itself?
Okay, I'm a strong advocate of family hugs. It straight away gets you into a different mode. It may be difficult to start with. My personal experience was we were also a family which wasn't so. We had good relationships, but not so used to that hugging and all that. But I
Touchy
think
feely.
only the touchy feeling, not used to, not everybody. So you have to,
Yes.
slowly, and it gets a skill. And I even practice it with my mother, who, as you said, the family we grew up in is not there. This touching. And she was 92 years old before I came across this hugging. When you see her, we hug her. When we go off, we hug her and all that. And she too got used to it, and she was the one who opened her arms for hugging and all that. So it was so so I think it's a real it's a magic touch, I would say. It just puts you onto a different zone when you get hugged. The happy hormones comes up, like you all we have kept mentioning and all that. So I think try it out. And like a family therapist Satir said, you need 4 hugs a day for survival, 8 hugs a day for maintenance, and 12 hugs a day for growth minimum. So the more you hug, the more that you have that feeling, the mindset change, the feeling of happiness, the feeling that life is good and you can deal with any challenges that are thrown to you. So look, try and practice it. If at nothing else you get, please try that. The other thing is, for example, when you're panicking, you have mental health issues, what you do, you are so, you're so agitated, you don't know what to do. And they have this technique of immediately, they call it a grounding technique, which is 5 4 3 2 1 technique. The first thing you do is think of 5 things you can see around you, you know. So look around the room, you can see the fan, you can see the chair, and all this. After that, the next thing, 4 things, look at 4 things that you can feel. You can feel the chair you're sitting on, you can feel somebody next to you, the hug, whatever. 4 things that you can feel. And then look at 3 things. The third step is the 3 things that you can hear around you: music, or somebody shouting, or somebody laughing. The fourth step is to notice 2 things that you can smell. Aromatherapy is one, or somebody cooking. So that's a smell. And the next one is, you can't smell anything, think of something that brings that baking bread or any nice fragrance of a flower. So these things will be, and then
Coffee.
think of one coffee, and
It's a
one
good
thing
one.
you can taste. So by time you go through these feelings, you are calmer, you are more relaxed, and you are not so panicky, and you can overcome that stress and thing. The other thing is, I would say that is one. And sometimes the other thing is to have a positive mindset. Every day, what are your goals? Write down, journaling. Write down 2 or 3 goals you have for the day. At the end of the day, maybe have a gratitude. What are 2 3 wonderful things that happen to you? It doesn't have to be big things, but you are grateful for. Maybe for me today, my gratitude would be to be grateful that I was in this panel and I learned so much from
Yes.
each other. It's
Yes.
lifelong learning. So think of those things. Gratitude is so important, the way our mindset works. So basically, these are some of the techniques. And then there are other techniques. Maybe we need to have another session where we can go in more details.
Yeah,
I
we can
think,
go on and
as
on and on. Yes.
yeah, but I said, as you said, food is also very important. Aromatherapy, I love spas, I love massages, and it really relaxes you and it's good for us,
Yes.
So I think personally, my takeaway, I also learned a lot from interaction in this session. Thank you so much. Yeah,
Fantastic.
basically, I
Well,
hope I
we're done.
managed. Yeah.
For sure, for sure. We truly enjoy all the various golden nuggets that you have shared with us. We are down to probably our last 5 minutes. So I'll probably go through with each one of you your final parting words or takeaways for our audience in terms of something that they can do perhaps today in terms of boosting their own self-immunity or perhaps just becoming a better person. So Marissa, you're next. Final parting words.
Hi. Yeah, Raj, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Anjali, and all of you as well. Lovely sharing. I love what you guys are sharing. A lot of things I can learn. And for example, Faisal, like you say, budget is a problem sometimes, right? For me, a simple thing you can do is just lemon water. Yeah, half a lemon, squeeze into 500 mLs of water and just drink that in the morning with a straw. Yeah, with a straw if you can, because lemon can corrode your teeth. So drink that with a straw and you will see a difference. Even if you can't afford anything else, that is good enough to start off with. Yeah, and of course, if you have the budget, lemon celery juice is great, but start with the lemon water first for everybody.
Thank you,
Just
Marisa.
You're most welcome.
Yeah. Pop into the nearest supermarket, buy your lemon, and you're good to go. Attila, final parting words. Oh, sorry, can't hear
Yeah,
you.
thank you. Yeah, thank you. And yeah, my final words is just practice love and gratefulness for everything we have, and have a very good relationship with your family, with your friends. That's extremely important to boost your immune system and to maintain a healthy mindset as well. My friends are helping me a lot, to have a good relationship with family and friends is extremely important to me, and that really makes me happy. Secondly, watch your nutrition, watch your eating, go for exercise, go for a run like Patricia does, and work out every day, minimum 30 minutes, even if it's a slow pace walk. That helps. You're surrounded by nature. You can be mindful on the birds, on the nature, on basically on anything and everything. So the second would be exercise. Third one is try to improve your sleep. Have a good night's sleep every single night, minimum 7 to 9 hours, quality sleep with no screen time. 2 hours prior to going to sleep, extremely important, I believe. And yeah, reduce toxic load, reduce toxicity around the house, also extremely important. Yeah, and use essential oils to boost your mood, to boost your immunity, to create good emotions, to help you to go outside and be motivated, and just help you to energize. Yeah, sorry, it wasn't one word, but it was a little bit longer. But that's my final advice.
No worries, all good stuff. And I'll remember frankincense. Patricia, your final parting words as well.
I do. I have two that I want to offer to all of you
Okay.
out there. Number one is all physically related. I want to share with you guys this power word, a power pose, advocated by our TED speaker, one of the brilliant TED speaker, Amy Cuddy. If I may, I want to invite all of you just to do this Wonder Woman pose. Put two of your arms above you as if you're touching the ceiling. Tell yourself you are so grateful. Now I want to challenge all my panelists. Would you accept my invitation to put two of your arms out there?
Yep, all of
and
us.
Feel,
Yep, just
you
put our
feel
arms.
so
Yep.
powerful. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do that for 2 minutes. Not in front of everyone, of course. It can be in the quietness of your room, the toilet, wherever you are. Feel energized, feel powerful. I do this from today onwards. I want to do it every morning. The next one, do before you sleep. Give yourself a self-hug. I love the fact
Hugs.
that Dr. Jelly, you gave us the importance of hug. If nobody is going to hug you, hug yourself. You deserve this
Self-love.
greatest treat to yourself.
Yes.
Self-love. That's why we are here. That's why we are here, and I'm so delighted. I have 5 new friends on this planet.
Yes.
I love you guys.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Beautifully said. And Faiza, quick one from you.
All right, thank you once again, Raj. I'd like to tell that we'll still be surrounded by the toxic people, but don't let their taunts to pull you down. Rather, use their taunts as a motivation to proceed further to achieve your objective. In other words, to summarize, I like to say, be immune mentally along with being physically.
Yep. So true. In the mind, body, and soul, as nicely put earlier. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for all your insights and input today. I hope our audience has found today's session very beneficial and informative. I definitely did. And we hope you continue to follow the Global Empowerment Summit, because we've got many, many more sessions by very, very powerful speakers who'll be sharing all kinds of amazing things. So still many more days to go. So do stay with us. On that note, my name is Raj Arya, wishing you a fantastic afternoon from here in sunny Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. On that note, have a great day. Bye all.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See
See
you.
you. Bye.
Thank you.
See you all. Bye-bye.